This week on Lunchbox Envy, Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps used to consume 12,000 calories a day whilst training.
The Hadza people of Tanzania eat so much honey, it's 20% of their diet.
And Queen Victoria used to eat what her doctors recommended, but in addition to her regular meals.
Oh, genius.
Loophole.
It's diets. Hello and welcome to Lunchbox Envy. I'm Manu and I'm here with my fellow QI elves, Jack and Alex.
Hello.
What up?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2026.
We felt like this was a good time to do a diets episode because a lot of people go on diets. But this episode won't exclusively be about like get skinny because that's not how we do things anymore, guys. We're going to be talking about diets in multiple senses, right? So what the human body needs, different ways in which people do diet or go on diets. We're not prescribing anything or recommending anything.
Yeah. Obviously, it can be a really difficult subject to talk about. One of the things I found out recently in this research to do with fat completely changed how I think about dieting in the body.
Oh, yeah.
And it is that your fat is an organ.
Oh, really?
Like, what is an organ is a really tricky subject. It can be...
Yeah, because we have like sort of 40 different organs by different definitions, don't we?
Yeah, be like 1,000 almost.
Really?
But fat, most people agree, is definitely an organ because it's a complex, connected tissue. And this thing is amazing. It has its own memory. It's talking to your brain.
What?
They're like multiple different kinds of fat.
It's like, oh, remember that cake from last year?
It's
How
so
cute.
cool. But it's also, it's like in communication with loads of other organs in your body. And it's really important to remember that it's not something that you can mess around with willy-nilly and get away with it. Like, it's such a beautiful, complicated thing. Eat well, enjoy food, but respect fat. I think is what I got. Respect your fat. It's looking after you.
Hashtag respect fat.
Yeah.
Is this the 2026 hashtag?
Yes, it's going to be word of the year at the end of the year.
Should we talk about the word diet?
Oh, yeah, where's it come from?
From the Latin dieta. Which is confusingly a parliamentary assembly.
Oh, this is great because there's a really funny Wikipedia title called The Diet of Worms, but it's actually a diet of worms. And there's a town in Germany called Worms, and there was a parliamentary meeting there called a diet.
No way.
So it looks like people who eat worms, but actually it's a meeting place of politicians. I think there were bishops, actually, in the German town of Worms, which took place in 1521.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's quite a funny title for Wikipedia pages.
But also it refers to a day's work or a way of life from the Greek, which is like a regimen or a dwelling. So it's getting to this like something you do every day, part of your daily routine.
Yeah, it's like a routine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Because everybody eats.
Yeah.
Except breatharians.
Oh, that's okay. So those are people that report to just breathe. That's not
what
a thing.
do you mean?
They survive off air and water, nothing else.
No, they don't.
Well, this is the thing. I think a lot of the time, supposed breatharians, they're either gorging like behind the scenes or they're sort of having their essential nutrients and calories mixed into their water, so you sort of can't tell.
Oh, I see.
Okay, yeah.
That's cheating.
I know that. I think they're always cheating because human beings need more than air and water.
It's one step away from Huel, really. Actually, yeah. I thought it was maybe something to do with the fact that when you lose weight, you mostly breathe it out.
Oh, yes.
So, there's that kind of question of when you lose weight, where does the fat go? Where does it go? And the answer is like it mostly is converted into carbon dioxide, and little by little you breathe it out
or fart it out.
No way.
Well, I guess. I mean, there's carbon dioxide in your fart, isn't there?
True.
Also, I read through sweat as well. So it's exhalation and sweat.
The water comes out in your sweat, and also your exhalation. Yeah. And crying.
I'm crying,
Jack.
Yeah, you cry yourself skinny.
Also, another thing.
Don't let that be the lesson.
So human diets, you have your classic collection of vores, as in you're omnivore, the animals that can eat basically anything they want to. Carnivores.
Meat.
Meat only. Humans usually aren't carnivores. They're usually omnivores. Carnivores is just meat, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it's very few animals are truly carnivorous. I think cats are. So when we talk about carnivores, we actually mean animals that only eat a certain food group.
Right.
and they can't eat anything else. Humans are very lucky; we can eat most things. But my favorite,
well, you can't eat dairy.
I'm
you can't eat.
actually getting
Shame.
Thank you.
Save it for the allergens episode.
But one of my favorite ones I found on this list of possible diets was politarian, which I'd never heard of before.
Politarian. Wait, poly means
Polo.
Apollo.
Politarian.
Oh, chickens.
Yes.
Oh.
Poultry. And I was like, I know so many vegetarians who are politarians when they're drunk.
Oh,
Yeah, because
right.
everyone loves a little cheeky nug.
Everyone loves fried chicken when they're drunk.
Humans aren't omnivores in that we're not obligate omnivores.
No.
Where you'd have to eat everything.
Anything I see, I have to eat. No, nothing's an obligate omnivore.
I guess.
Maybe like a black hole.
I'm going to start calling them obligate omnivores now. No, but like, because vegetarians, they don't need meat to survive. Like, you can't make a vegetarian cat because they need meat. They're obligate carnivores.
Exactly.
But most carnivores could survive without meat. They just are naturally developed. Like a dog would in the wild, a wolf, say, will eat mostly meat. And if their times are tough, they might sort of dig for tubers.
I guess it's the difference between what do you need to eat, what can you eat, and what do you eat? Like, are the three. Because again, like, you know how like for centuries human beings were eating dairy when we really couldn't. And then like we like developed ourselves into being able to eat dairy.
There's a lot of opportunistic carnivores in nature. So like giraffes.
Yeah, that one's they eat bones.
Really?
Madness.
I was going to mention butterflies who mostly drink nectar, but if there's no nectar available, they'll drink blood.
Oh, I hate
Cool.
it. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Animals are gross.
And a lot of vegans will eat roadkill.
Really?
Well, maybe not a lot, but like
That's like being like an opportunistic carnivore.
Yeah.
Well, is there a vegivore, an animal that has to eat vegetables and can't eat meat?
But
Isn't that
like a cow.
herbivore?
That's a herbivore. Good point. That's shit. I thought I'd invented a new category of
I'll take it.
animals.
I only eat tarragon, parsley, and basil. I'm a herbivore.
That's just called being a posh cunt.
Yeah.
Just whilst we're talking about the things that we're kind of designed to eat, our god tier nutritional combination that we are not designed to deal with, carbs and fat in equal measure, rarely occurs in nature.
Really?
So when we come across foods with kind of an equal quantity of carbs and fat, our brains go insane.
Like what is that?
Buttery mash.
Chocolate, buttery mash.
Oh my god, yeah.
Donuts, all of these
Oh, I see.
really,
All of my favourite foods.
all
I
of
get
these
it.
really addictive
Right.
foods. Because like back in the day when food was scarce and we had to like actually work to get our food, our bodies were like geared to go for the most nutritionally and calorie dense stuff.
Yeah.
And say fruit, loads of carbs, very little fat. Meat, lots of fat, very little carbohydrate. And this is why diet culture is such a big thing, because we're not naturally supposed to be around this much food, especially food with this carb fat combination. So in 2018 there were researchers at Yale who got people to like kind of bid on certain foodstuffs and guess their nutritional value, and they found that people are really bad at guessing the like calorific value of these foods, and they always underestimate how much is in.
I think a really good example of a surprising one is a croissant. When you look at it, you're like, this is 90% air.
That's
How on
true.
earth can it have as many calories in as it does?
That was a good point. 1 gram of uranium has something like 20 million calories.
Whoa, why aren't we all eating uranium?
Because we get fat. Well, we should talk about what a calorie is, I guess.
Yes, because it's a measure of energy, isn't it? The amount of energy required to heat 1 centimetre cubed of water.
So what? So 1 milliliter.
1 milliliter, yes. By 1 degree Celsius.
Okay, so it's very metric.
It's very metric, yes.
So, well, the word calorie comes from the Latin word calor, meaning heat, as in like calor gas. I guess is that a brand of gas or a type of gas?
Brand.
The concept of the calorie was for like scientific purposes originally. It began in the late 1800s.
All right. And there's also a little shortcut, because when we talk about a scientific calorie, it's 1,000th of a food calorie. So I think calorie with a capital C is what we use for food, and that is actually a kilocalorie. It's 1,000 calories.
A lot of food packaging says kcal on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
they're
actually
being
does. It is
specific.
saying,
That's what the K
because technically
is.
everything is up by 1,000.
Yeah, which is so confusing. They need a better word.
Well, also, I do think as well, if they just put calories and they added 3 zeros, we'd all
Yeah,
eat a lot
you'd be
more
really-
healthy.
but- go on.
Because you'd be like, 8 million calories? Like, from as early as the 1800s, scientists had these devices called calorimeters, which were a device where you could burn something inside it and it would measure how much heat was released.
Oh, I I see.
And then there was a guy called Wilbur Olin Atwater who took this measurement.
Was that his Instagram handle?
Yeah, Atwater.
Atwater.
And he was the one who translated the kind of raw heat values into a usable system for food. And so you could work out, if you knew how much fats and carbohydrates and protein was in a food, you could then work out how many calories there were in it.
And so uranium has so many calories because if you leave it to radioactively decay, it heats water up very fast. That's how nuclear power plants work. But we can't process those calories. If you did, don't try this at home. If you did swallow a gram of uranium, you wouldn't get those calories. You'd get quite a lot of radiation poisoning, which is why...
And you would be in phase 5 of the Marvel universe.
So high calorie foods, more heat.
Yes, and there's a theory that you can eat really, really cold food and lose weight. It's called the ice cream diet.
Sounds great.
So theoretically, if you ate enough ice cream, it would make your body so cold that you'd have to use energy to warm it back up to 37 degrees. And that might overcome the amount of calories you get from the ice cream. But someone did the numbers, and unfortunately, in 500 millilitres of ice cream, only a 60th of the calories go towards taking it from -5 to 36. So you'd have to eat ice cream that was minus 1,883 degrees Celsius to lose weight this way, to even start losing weight.
But that's way below absolute zero, so you couldn't even get there.
So it's impossible. I certainly found anecdotally that I eat more in the winter because I'm more cold. And you will notice if you ever look into polar explorers' diets, they're obviously doing a lot of exercise, trekking across the poles, but they're also, because they're so cold, that's why they have to eat like 4, 5, 8,000
more
calories
fuel
a
in the
day.
boiler.
They're basically constantly
Hearing
eating.
stories of them eating just sticks of butter.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun. I love the idea of having to eat a lot, but the stuff they eat is like so nutritionally
way to
dense.
take the fun out of eating.
You have to eat on the go. You don't have a cooker, like you can't have like roast dinner all day.
But it's really cool that you can massively fuel your body and it will like pump up the heat and like keep you warm.
Another thing is listening to a really nice Radiolab episode about digestion in general. It's fascinating. But my favourite thing someone said in that is that we are just a giant donut.
Oh yes,
we have a hole.
Yeah.
And then
I see. So the hole is like one side of the hole is your mouth and the other side is your butt.
Yeah, I remember reading, it was probably a tweet back in the day, but it was like when two people kiss, they make one long tube with an arsehole at each end.
It is time for our first lunchbox, and today that is you, Jack.
Right, so I've gone to the North Pole and I have brought you guys a polar bear's liver.
Ooh.
I haven't actually. I went to Sainsbury's.
This is a regular liver, isn't it?
And brought a calf's liver. But yeah, no polar bears were harmed in the making. Basically, I want to talk to you about what things we need and what things we don't need. So the reason I brought a polar bear's liver is because it is extremely high in vitamin A. Okay, you may have heard of the vitamins. It's a kind of loose collection of chemicals that come in many different forms. It's short for vital amine. What's agreed is that they're all basically essential to human life in various quantities, mostly very small. So these are known as micronutrients. So we've got macronutrients, which are like oxygen, water, and carbohydrates and fats and protein, because you need to eat grams of those, oxygen notwithstanding. So we need those to survive. But the vitamins, we need like milligrams a day in order to function well. But the problem with vitamin A, it's really useful for skin. One of the forms is called retinol, which you may have come across. Basically, because seals have an awful lot of vitamin A in their blubber and it gets processed in their livers, then the polar bears come and eat multiple seals, and it's a process called biomagnification. If you can picture the food chain, like one bear will eat, say, 6 seals, which each eat 6 mackerel,
and then he'll sit there being like, I am such a pig, and look himself in the mirror and be like, I ate the whole pack of seals. You know when you just want one biscuit and you eat the whole pack?
Penguins, surely.
So basically, if each animal contains a small amount of vitamin A, and then it all bioaccumulates because the polar bear's eating the whole, whole base of the food chain. And it's the reason you don't give swordfish to newborn babies or pregnant women, because the bioaccumulation of mercury in these fish is quite high and could cause mercury poisoning.
You are going all over the place with this story.
I love
I'm like,
it.
swordfish, polar bears,
so
babies.
Let me take you to the Caribbean.
So this is like you are what you eat, basically.
So basically, yeah, and a polar bear's liver is basically toxically high in vitamin A. So you can overdose on these vitamins. So it has occasionally occurred to polar explorers in the North Pole. They are more likely to be eating in extreme survival situations. They eat the sled dogs, unfortunately.
Right.
And the sled dogs have been fed on various bits of seal. So it's not specifically polar bear's liver, but the Inuit, the locals, always avoid the liver of all of these animals because their folk tradition is passed on. It's a taboo.
Clever.
So occasionally stupid Westerners go, and in the survival situation, they eat vitamin A liver and their skin starts to peel off. That's the first thing you notice in huge sheets.
Oh my God.
And then you sort of get like nauseous and low
it's
energy.
like radiation poisoning.
It's pretty gnarly. But that led me on down a path of what happens if you just eat one thing. What is the worst thing you can choose that is innocuous? Because you would have thought in a survival situation a polar bear's liver is full of nutrients, right? So what's interesting is if you just eat rabbit flesh, rabbit meat is so lean that if you only eat rabbit, you'll die quicker than of starvation. We need the fat and the vitamins and hopefully some carbohydrates and fiber as well to go with it in order to process it. So if you basically die of protein overdose if you just eat rabbit. You're getting calories, but you have too much protein. If you eat it, that's interesting. I read a survival guide that says you can eat rabbit, you just have to make sure you eat the eyeballs because they've got all the fat and all the the offal.
They've got fatty eyes.
If you eat the offal. But anyway, the flip side, I was looking into what foodstuffs you could eat and survive the longest. So I've heard that if you were on a desert island, you could get an awful lot of your nutrients from coconut. So if you're eating fresh coconut off the tree, you can survive a long time just off coconut because it's got carbohydrates, it's got sugar, it's got fiber, it's got fat.
Oh, is this like a complete food? So say like breast milk.
Yes, breast milk is the only one that you can theoretically survive forever on.
But what kind of a life is that?
Exactly.
You know, like I think you're giving up quite a lot of social capital. But again, it's one away from Huel because Huel is basically like artificial breast milk.
Yeah.
And actually, I think people who drink Huel should be made to drink it out of a big boob or like a huge sippy cup, so that it's really obvious they're drinking breast milk.
I bet a lot of bros would actually love that.
Yeah.
So bread, you can go about 6 months with just bread because it's quite calorific, but you then die of scurvy, which we covered in the lemons episode. Coconuts, you die of vitamin B deficiency because you can't get vitamin B unless you're getting it from animal products. Potatoes. Do you remember the potato episode? I said that historians see the potato and its proliferation as saving humanity from regular famines.
Yeah.
It's basically the cheat code.
You need other stuff, but it's really good at being like 90%, 95% of your diet.
Yeah, so you don't need much else. If you supplement it with dairy fat, so either butter or milk, you can theoretically survive forever.
Wow, so like one cow and a field of potatoes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The Irish way.
Well, no, genuinely, like, I mean, it's a sad time in history, but when the Irish, they used to eat a lot of potatoes with other things. And then when famine struck and it was only the potatoes, this was before the Blight, they were surviving quite a long time off just potatoes. And then obviously the potato blight happened and they couldn't even eat potatoes.
It's so funny as well because you look back at that and you think, oh my gosh, like, you know, what sort of, for want of a better, like primitive conditions that, your one food stuff kind of goes and you're completely screwed up. But I read somewhere that London has about 2 days worth of food in it because the turnover is so high. And that actually if a small part of the technology chain collapses, then the transport system shuts down and we all run out of food really quickly.
And the fridges aren't big enough to stockpile like a
That's the thing, we
food.
don't store a lot of food. Like most people don't have a barn full of, you know, the season's potatoes or whatever, you know,
or pickled vegetables back in the day,
or a cow that you can kill.
But anyway, someone did the maths, and the first thing you'd run out of in a diet of potatoes and butter is molybdenum.
What is that?
It's
obscure... delicious, Manu. You have to try it.
You have to try it. It's just an element quite a long way down the periodic table. Good sources are lentils and oat porridge. So this is probably how the Irish were surviving, is they were actually eating potatoes and some porridge with a bit of milk.
But again, just 2 fields worth of stuff. Potatoes and oats.
Yeah. But you only need 45 micrograms of molybdenum a day. So 45 millionths of a gram. So that's the thing that would kill you. And after quite a long time. And then the final one I want to talk about is sweet potatoes, which are...
Dessert.
They're not part of the same family as potatoes. But specifically sweet potatoes and their leaves. So Western researchers in the mid-60s, they studied teenage boys' diets in Papua New Guinea.
Right.
And they realised they were basically only eating sweet potatoes and their leaves in various forms. And they were all surviving for a start, but also there was so little, the NCDs, the non-communicable diseases, which are spreading around the world. They're things like diabetes and atherosclerosis, which is the fatty arteries.
Is that, communicable? Is that like spreadable person to person?
So I can't give you diabetes if I have it. I'm not like through coughing. Obviously, I could like feed you an awful
Culturally,
lot of,
you could, yeah.
Culturally. So they had a really low level of diabetes, atherosclerosis, and hypertension, which you'd expect them to be malnourished. But basically, they worked out they had all the vitamins they needed except for vitamin B12 and vitamin D. And they worked out the vitamin B12 they were getting off the runoff from the streams.
No
Yeah.
way.
And then the vitamin D, because they live in a tropical country, they were getting it from the sun anyway.
Yeah.
So they were basically able to survive off sweet potatoes and their leaves.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And it had to be sunny. So this is why we couldn't do it in the UK.
You can't do it in Scotland, yeah. So basically, just to round off, that's the final subcategory of micronutrients are the chemical elements. So you might have heard about needing iron.
Yeah.
That's for hemoglobin in your blood to transport oxygen around. But you also need small amounts of copper, zinc, selenium, strontium, mercury, calcium as well. That's quite a famous one because you get it from milk, and boron. And molybdenum. I didn't know about molybdenum, but apparently you need that.
Wow.
And on iron, because we all need some iron in our diets, have you seen the little lucky fish that gets sent to countries with really poor diets? So in lower income countries, you might be malnourished because you don't really have the choice of a huge supermarket or, certainly the funds. So aid agencies will give out small pieces of iron that you leave in your cooking pot. And they're often shaped like a fish or something that's kind of anthropologically mythologized. So, for instance, in Chad, the fish is seen as lucky. So they put the iron in a fish shape, and then you leave it in the bottom of your pot, and it basically leaches iron into your food.
That's so clever.
Which is such a we're so concerned about things leaching into our food, but actually it can be a really useful thing because these people aren't getting enough iron. So you give them a lucky fish and then it sits in the bottom of the pot and it lasts for years.
You should be able to give that to people who, like me, aren't very good at cooking. Get like an MSG rhino or something that makes all the food taste better.
Wow. I think that is just a stock key.
Yeah, okay, fine, fair enough, yeah.
It's time for our second lunchbox, and today that is mine.
Ooh.
And I have bought a sweet potato.
Oh!
But not for the same reason. So today I wanted to talk about the Okinawa centenarian diet.
Ooh. Okinawa is in Japan?
Yes, it is an area in Japan by the sea, which is called a blue zone.
Oh,
have you heard of blue
these.
zones?
Oh, it's Republican.
It's Democrat.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Oh, so close. So in the early 2000s, there was a Nat Geo journalist called Dan Buettner who coined the term blue zones for areas in which people tend to live to 100 or over. So it's got like the highest density of really old people. And like this idea blew up. It wasn't his research, but he really went in hard and coined the term. They were called blue zones literally because the people who were charting all of these numbers and looking at this data just penciled out the areas in blue.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, right.
I wanted it to be something different, but it's literally this happy pen accident.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these areas tended to be coastal. So in the few blue zones that they identified, everyone had like 9 very similar habits.
Okay.
And Dan Buettner called these like the Power 9. 3 food-based things, and one is eating primarily a plant-based diet. The other one is trying not to overeat, so monitoring your calorie intake, sometimes intermittent fasting. And then the other one is avoiding alcohol or drinking very little alcohol.
What are the non-food ones?
So the non-food ones were having a strong sense of purpose, having a good daily routine with lots of movement, adopting some form of stress relief that works for you.
But not drinking.
Not drinking, no drinking. Having some kind of like religion or spirituality in your life. And then having like a strong social network, having like extended family structures, so old and young people living together. And then having lifelong friendships, so people who've known you from wee to ancient, 100.
Okay, I'm going to die when I'm 40 then.
Yeah,
I can't stand to be around anyone for more than like 20 minutes.
So I wanted to look at the people in Okinawa because their diet is so specific. People who are researching blue zones plotted it out, and it's 67% sweet potato. They eat so much sweet potato. They put it on a pie graph and it's like sweet potato, most of it. Then 12% rice, 9% vegetables, 6% legumes, so like beans. 3% grain, 2% meat, so very little meat and fish.
2% meat.
And then 1% other.
I like that was a pie chart, and they should make an actual pie.
That's
makes,
so clever.
actual pie that makes you live forever. The perfect pie.
What would you put in other though? That 1%.
E-numbers. If we get to have anything, E-numbers are what make everything taste nice.
So that was the Okinawa diet.
Okay.
And I was like, great, this is fantastic. We're going to live forever, guys. Here's a sweet potato. And then I found debunk research.
Dun, dun, dun.
So wait, this is everything you've just told us is bullshit.
Literally, the whole lunchbox is a lie. So in 2024, Dr. Saul Justin Newman, who's a fellow at Oxford and UCL, he won an Ig Nobel Award for debunking blue zones. So hard. So
I didn't realize there was like sass involved in the scientific community where they're like dissing other scientists. Mic drop.
Oh my god, did he blew this thing wide open?
Well done. So if we take the Okinawa example, just for some background, it has the highest murder rate per capita in Japan, has the second lowest median income, highest percentage of older people on welfare, and the highest unemployment rate of all Japanese prefectures. So it's 47% unemployed. So that's kind of like the background of a lot of these blue zone places is like intensely poor, which means that most of these places, there's just so much pension fraud. So people are lying about their old relatives.
They're not old.
They're dead. They're all dead.
Oh my god.
So he was like, this is insane. And also another thing that happens if you have like an area that's really poor and underfunded is data collection in those areas is normally really shit. So people have multiple birthdays. People don't know when they're born. The data's all over the place. There's so much incentive for people to lie about older relatives.
That's so funny. I love it. We're so fallible as humans. But that poor guy who researched them initially
dedicated his whole life to really cool. He had a legacy.
Oh my god, I've discovered the secret to longevity.
But he's also kind of selling it though. Like it's kind of.
Did he write a book?
He had a Netflix series on Boot that came out not long ago.
Oh, that's really embarrassing.
Very embarrassing for him. But with the Okinawa diet as well, I love this so much. They have the lowest per capita intake of sweet potato and fruits and veg and all of these foods in Japan. They're just not eating these foods. They're not doing it. They actually have one of the highest BMIs in Japan. They're some of the unhealthiest people.
That's
so the
incredible.
whole thing was just like absolute bullshit.
So we've now ended up, we just have no real guidance on what makes you live longer beyond the obvious things.
I think that's not the case. We do know that eating certain foods makes us live longer. So there was a study in 2023, some researchers from Bergen in Norway and Glasgow found that having like a kind of sustained change from an unhealthy to a diet full of like whole grains and nuts and fruits, all of these like classically healthy foods actually does extend your life expectancy by about 10 years on average.
That's a
so
lot.
it makes a massive difference if you're eating well. It's just in this blue zone study the data was so swift that it's not
mangled by
it's not a representative
Well,
thing.
it's interesting. So the much lauded Mediterranean diet
yes.
is kind of common to. It's sort of what you described at the start of that blue zone.
Yeah,
it's mostly plants, a lot of relatively healthy fats. Like they don't avoid fat, but they're all drinking olive oil and nuts and seeds, oily fish as well. and wholemeal grains. They eat quite seasonally, and that is thought to extend your life.
Cool.
But this is a slight debunk. Basically, the Mediterranean diet has been much lauded for a long time, but it's actually not any better than a lot of other diets around the world. So researchers studied African and Central American traditional diets, and they're just as good. So they found rural villages in Tanzania who were eating a lot of cassava and banana beer, interestingly, fermented banana juice that goes slightly alcoholic. And they had the markers for reducing inflammation, and they're basically as good as the Mediterranean diet. So it's basically about eating fresh, locally sourced, unprocessed food, essentially. So there's nothing essentially special about the Mediterranean diet. It's just our Western-centric
It's just general quality
views.
of food is important.
So.
Yeah.
But it's also around what else you do with your food and how you eat it.
If you put it in your ears, you're going to die quite fast because you will starve.
Malnourishment. I read, I think it was in B. Wilson's book, she talked about a Japanese man who went to work and live in California, and he ate only Japanese food, and he still gained weight compared to his compatriots. And he was like, why? I'm eating the same stuff that I eat at home. And it was because he was eating it on the move and on his own and in a car. And he was a sort of general level of stress. Whereas in Japan, there was much more of an emphasis on slowly sipping your food and your soup and eating communally and taking like an hour and a half for lunch and what have you. In fact, it was a whole study of thousands of Japanese men rather than just one. But there's this theory that it's more about how you eat your food, and if you're wolfing it down or you're stressed at the time, and actually slowing down and eating.
Similarly, we are really, as a culture, obsessed with people who live to 100 plus and eat like shit. So the oldest woman in the world was Jeanne Calment.
As in oldest ever.
The oldest ever woman in the world. She died at 122.
Whoa.
She drank a lot of port and ate nearly 2 kilograms of chocolate a week.
Whoa, that is a lot.
It's a lot of chocolate,
Wow.
and she loved it. But it was really interesting. There's an article in The Guardian trying to explain this, why we're so obsessed, and it's something to do with survivorship bias when we're looking at big swathes of data. So we get really excited by the people who go against all the odds, like the underdogs. Most people that live for a really long time do eat well, and they do exercise, and they don't drink. But when we hear stories of older people who like eat loads of fish and chips, which is another, like a centenarian has done this, or like smoke 1,000 cigarettes a day, we go absolutely
We love a
crazy.
cheat code. We love an out. We love
I always think like if I ever reach like 105 or something and everyone's like, what's your secret? I'll just come up with something mad like, I eat a pine cone every day. And then people will
I
just
ate
start
my
eating
firstborn
pine
child.
cones.
Just on the tangent about Jeanne Calment, the funniest story about her is that when she was like in her 80s or something, a guy signed up to, I think, quite a common scheme where basically a younger person pays an older person a monthly income, basically, in exchange for their house when they die. So you're kind of buying their house in advance. But obviously, the sooner they pass away, the better the deal you get, because you only have to pay them until they die. This poor guy paid something like 3 times the amount the house would ever have been worth if he bought it outright. And then he died before she did.
That's
so sad. So she got this amazing income for so many years.
He was like,
and got to keep her house.
And that subsidized the chocolate for
yeah,
her.
that's what it was.
good.
But I think, debunk this one as well. There is question marks over her age because there's some, I think...
When you're that old, the record can't be that good when you're born, right?
Well, that's the main thing. She was born in 1875. She met...
What? That's
We
crazy.
She met Vincent van Gogh when she was 12.
Fuck off, sorry.
Yeah. There is a theory that she is actually her daughter, and there's a little bit of, like you were talking about in Okinawa, there's a bit of pension fraud.
Yeah.
She retired, she was 70 in 1945 and still lived to see, what's 1997? Titanic. So she would have seen Titanic, having been in her 40s when she saw the actual Titanic.
Oh, so she would be like, reboot.
yeah.
It is time for our third and final lunchbox, and today that is you, Alex.
I have brought some cotton wool.
Is it edible?
Well, it's not necessarily digestible, but it is edible.
Oh, no.
I would like to talk about some fad diets through history, some of the weirder ways to lose weight. And this is one of them, the cotton wool diet. popular in the 1920s and 1930s. Okay. Very fashionable, I think, in fashion and film circles during the interwar years.
Okay.
And it is exactly what it sounds like. People would swallow cotton balls soaked in water or orange juice or milk, which would fill the stomach. It's a way of like basically making you eat less by feeling like you're full. It was never like a formally prescribed thing, but it was like a kind of underground fad. Obviously, very dangerous. Doesn't digest. It might get stuck in places. It might be there for a really long time and cause you to basically
and you
starve.
might just starve, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, should we talk about some of the other unusual ones?
Yeah, so we got some up our sleeve.
The tapeworm diet.
Oh my God.
Is that what it sounds like?
Oh, it is. Really controversial. But also whether it was actually real or not, because it's one of the famous like fad diets from history. But
when was it?
So this was a Victorian fad diet,
Okay.
Which kind of came back in the 1950s, became like a Hollywood thing again, is the story. But historians can't really tell if it was real or not. So basically the idea is you ingest a tapeworm
Live,
but little larvae in pill form.
In pill form. Yeah.
And then it grows in your stomach and it eats all of your food instead of you. And then when you're skinny enough and you're happy with your body, you tempt it out. And there are stories of doctors holding like glasses of milk at both ends of you to try and like get it to wriggle out. But it's one of those things where the history around it is so murky and there are adverts for it, but there's like very few written examples of people actually having to deal with having eaten a giant tapeworm.
I guess it's very gory and sensationalist, so I can see why it would be
and
like,
also,
grabs people's attention.
You might not want to admit to it.
Oh, because then people would be like, maybe the tapeworm's got all the talent as well.
But that was the thing. So in the 1920s, there was actually a Greek-American opera singer called Maria Callas, who was born in the 1920s. And in the 1950s, when she was really famous, she lost a lot of weight. And people were speculating as to why this was the case. And they were like, oh, she was on the Hollywood tapeworm diet. And this is actually true. Like, she had a tapeworm, but it wasn't intentional. That's how she lost loads of weight.
Oh, she got it unintentionally?
Yeah, so one of her favourite foods was raw steak tartare.
Okay.
And that's
Recipe for disaster.
That's how she got the tapeworm. And then it was in trying to like get this thing out of her body. That's how she got so skinny.
Oh,
that's
shame.
sad.
So there's a real example of it, but this is,
But it's not as neat as like she took a tapeworm, it ate all of her food and left a little bit, and then she was actually probably starving herself to get the tapeworm to starve and then leave her.
And then it's really grim.
But I've heard of Maria Callas. I didn't know that. I read about the drinking man's diet, 1965. There's a man, American called Robert Cameron, who published a book called The Drinking Man's Diet, which eschewed starch and sugars and encouraged people. It basically said, don't have any carbohydrates. Pre-Atkins.
So is that the Atkins diet?
So, the Atkins diet was kind of a fad diet between, was it 90s and noughties?
Dr. Atkins invented it.
Dr. Atkins invented it, and it basically was like, you can kind of eat whatever you want, but avoid carbohydrates. If it works for some. But anyway, this guy, Robert Cameron, was like, you can, as long as you avoid most sugars and carbohydrates, so no buns or bread or pasta, you can eat what you want. And you can drink what you want specifically. So there's a big picture inside of him, like basically tucking into a steak with a bottle of champagne.
Isn't alcohol carbohydrate though?
Yes, but if you're a heavy drinker, and this isn't recommended, but if you're a heavy drinker, there's diminishing returns. So you start processing the calories in alcohol and turning them into heat rather than fat.
Oh.
So that's why
your first few pints are the most
quite
fattening.
Flush. Yeah, basically.
Whoa.
That's interesting.
But again, it's not a recommended diet tip.
I banked that. That's
after the first 1,000 calories, you're fine. I mean, none of these are. I read that there was no such thing as a super diet. That basically, obviously, some things you can change what you're eating to A, get fewer calories, B, just shift the balance of macronutrients in order to be a bit healthier. But there's nothing that will make you lose weight quickly and keep it off, because most of these sort of crash diets are pretty bad for you in the long term, and they're only short-term weight losses. Have
you heard of the Sleeping Beauty diet?
No? Go on. Do you just sleep for ages?
Pretty much. All of these diets are very well named because they tell you exactly what they do. It's popular in the 1950s and 1960s.
When Sleeping Beauty came out, the Disney film.
Actually, yeah, true. That's probably, maybe a coincidence, I don't know. But this was marketed by some celebrity doctors and literally involved taking heavy sedatives so that you slept sometimes for days at a time. So you can't eat when you're asleep.
This is very true.
Yeah.
I think Elvis did the Sleeping Beauty diet.
I couldn't find any evidence that he did. There's definitely rumours.
Okay.
It's true that we say that.
We do. We love to
Some
say
people
that.
say.
Andy Warhol's diet.
Oh, yeah.
To stay slim, he used to order foods he didn't like at restaurants on the
Jeez,
menu.
Oh my God, that's absolutely
I
insufferable.
eat little of it, and then he's like, and then I give it to a homeless person when we leave the
okay,
restaurant. I'm
that's
like,
quite
that's nice.
And he gets skinny off being smug.
I think he did actually eat quite a lot of Campbell's soup as well. Which is
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, I
That's
think
funny.
he did.
That's funny. I guess is that where he got the idea from for the art?
Oh, yeah, it could have
I
been.
think-
Or they sent him loads of free, like he got #spawned, and then he did the thing, and they sent him loads of soup, and he's like, I'm not going to eat all this soup.
I wouldn't complain.
Did you come across the Great Masticator?
Oh,
Horace, the Great Masticator Fletcher, whose dates were 1849 to 1919.
Okay, so it's
So
Edwardian?
basically, yeah, I think so. Victorian Edwardian, but in America. And he was a genuine health professional who advocated chewing your food 50 to 100 times per mouthful.
think genuine health
Until it-
professional
That's
is a
stretching it.
strong
If that's also like
term.
if that's what you have in your like Instagram bio, I don't trust you.
No. No, but
as in-
genuine health
Well,
professional.
okay, I suppose. Let me frame this right.
Yeah.
So he wasn't just a man off the street.
So he was a nutritionist as much as you could be in those times.
I love his background so much. So he was born in Massachusetts, like you said, 1849. Then he is just really lucky. He joins a whaling expedition at 15
To hunt whales.
to hunt whales. He goes traveling all across Asia as well. And then he comes back and he makes a lot of money selling the tidbits he's collected from his travels. By the 1870s, he's like rich. Like he's got money. He opens an opera house. He becomes an art critic. He's just really well off.
I read he bought a 13th century Venetian palazzo on the Grand Canal.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Funny.
Big baller move.
Anyway, but part of his being a very rich man is he gets really big. Like he puts on a lot of weight. At 40, he applies for life insurance and they say no.
Oh.
Yeah, so-
a wake up call.
Because he's
Yeah.
so unhealthy.
So he's like, I gotta do something about this. And that's when he decides, I'm just gonna start chewing my food so much.
So the diet is eat what you want, but just like chew.
Yes. So by some accounts, there's a story of him chewing a spring onion 722 times. So for
yes.
12 minutes.
I read this, yeah.
So,
but
yeah,
I saw that, sorry to interrupt, I saw that estimation as well, and it said chewing once a second, which I think is a pretty slow rate of chewing.
Yeah. It's quite
Absolutely,
sarcastic. Yeah. It's the slow clap of the mouth. But the principle behind it, because this does work, right? I think there is like an element of, because you're pre-digesting.
So he thought that you did a lot of your digestion in your mouth. That's why he was like, I'm just going to keep it here for ages, because he didn't think that the important stuff was going on in your stomach, which is obviously not the case.
Right.
You can basically swallow your food whole and you will still digest it. It's not recommended.
Yeah.
Chewing your food is very good for you.
But is it that you end up eating slower then, just because?
Yeah, people that eat more slowly tend to have much healthier insulin levels and like healthier BMIs. So it is good, but you do not
For the
need
wrong
to,
reasons,
Yeah, you
yeah.
don't need to chew a spring onion 700
Yeah.
times.
Well, he said
Because also you have that for breakfast, like you miss lunch because you're still eating breakfast. Like that's why it makes you lose weight.
he said you should chew it until it swallows itself, which I was
Ugh.
thinking,
Yeah.
like,
So
you work on your branding.
It's
But
like
yeah.
it's maybe the most antisocial of all these diets, apart from
that's true.
apart from when you're unconscious. I suppose that's how it's but like,
You can't talk with your mouth full either, right?
no, everyone around the table has finished their dinner, and
you're
you're
just
just there
there.
like with your second mouthful.
But yeah, wasn't it a success?
Yeah, no, he lost about 18 kilograms. He lost 7 inches off his waistline. And he used to do kind of demonstrations at Yale University where he'd like
Chewing
apparent-
demonstrations.
Yeah.
Guys, that's how you do it,
Apparently,
guys.
he'd just like
TED Talks back then were not the same.
My worry would be you get a really weirdly muscly jaw.
The crimson chin.
Yeah, the crimson chin.
But yeah, it was a massive, like, that was the ultimate fad diet.
Yeah.
So many people were into it. Like
Fletcherism.
yeah, exactly, Fletcherism. Like John Rockefeller, oil baron.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
World's richest man.
Sherlock Holmes.
What? Fictional?
No.
No,
Sorry,
Sherlock Holmes
Arthur.
creator. You have in your
You
notes.
know Sherlock, thank you. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes. Upton Sinclair. famous novelist.
Yeah.
All of these people loved Fletcherism, but I think my favourite thing is he, as in Fletcher, mailed his poo to a Yale physiologist called Richard Chittenden.
Like unsolicited, or
I'm not sure.
it's an unrelated hate crime.
But it's because he described his poo as ash. Like it was so
dry.
masticated. Apparently,
He didn't masticate his poo.
Apparently, it came out dry and it smelled of biscuits. That was his thing. He was like, "Yes, here's my poo. Look how amazing my poo is." He was obsessed with his poo. So the person he sent his poo to was actually a really well-regarded physiologist.
They all seem to be in these stories. They all turn out to be batshit crazy.
During World War One, Chittenden was sent by Herbert Hoover, who wasn't president at the time, but he was in government, and he was like, "Chittenden, go and help Europe with their food crisis. World War One, big food supply chain issues." Chittenden loved Fletcher, and he literally told Europe, "You know what you should do? You should eat really slowly, and then you don't need more
You just gather
food."
all Europeans.
It was insane. And then they were like, what? Like they hated it, and they were actually apparently in communications of saying, "We're all starving. No, thank you." So funny.
That's so embarrassing.
So funny.
That's so
true.
good. Have you heard of a tongue patch diet?
Oh no, I'm
sounds
scared.
Exactly what it sounds like. Once again, a plastic mesh is sewn onto your tongue, and it makes it too painful to eat solids.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah, it's pretty like Saw movie, isn't it?
Christ. How much pain would you have to be in to not eat a croissant?
Quite
True.
a lot, to be
But by the
fair.
end of it, you'd be like, oh, skinny.
All right, that is it for this week's edition of Lunchbox Envy.
You can follow our socials for foodie facts and podcast updates. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Lunchbox Envy Pod.
Yeah, and you can also get in touch and send us your facts, recipes, questions by emailing us. The address
is history.com.
Wow.
Email your reviews to that one. The address is lunchbox@qi.com.
And we'll leave you with this. According to dietitian Grace DeRocca at the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the behaviour of zombies can be attributed to their diet. Human brains are about 60% fat and 40% protein. Basically a keto diet. Wandering around disoriented, moaning and irritable is just down to a lack of carbs. I know.
Don't tell
Poor
Brian
zombies.
Johnson.
We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lunchbox Envy was hosted by Jack Chambers, Alex Bell, and me, Manu Oreo. This has been a quite interesting podcast.